Ladies and gentlemen, India's state terrorism against Kashmir is at its peak, but the world doesn't appear to care much. I must hasten to add here that there have been some honorable exceptions to this international indifference towards Kashmir, and some of our esteemed guests today represent that exception. Mr. Bondovic, in particular, deserves our sincere gratitude for his interest and concern over the ongoing situation in Kashmir. Even the fact that all these heinous crimes are being perpetrated by a country that doesn't ever tire of posting about being the so-called largest democracy doesn't seem to make any difference to the international community at large. And with the result, Indian forces continue to violate human rights and international laws flagrantly and with absolute impunity. India's attempts to change the nature of dispute over Kashmir have now become even more emboldened, and sinister plans are afoot to abrogate Article 370 of the Indian Constitution to force Kashmiris out of their land and property to alter the demography of the region. Even the recent report by UNHRC on the human rights situation in Kashmir appears to have not achieved much in terms of either bringing about any change in India's behavior or waking up the international conscience. In fact, India responded to the UN report with the same traditional denial and illogic that has been its hallmark for the last 7 decades. But we must understand that the status quo in Kashmir is neither in the interest of India and Pakistan, nor in the interest of Kashmiris, nor in the interest of the South Asian region and the world at large. India has nearly a million armed forces stationed in Kashmir, turning the region into the most militarized zone on earth. 3 generations of Kashmiris have resisted India's occupation largely peacefully, but India's continuing and oppressive policies are now creating a new generation of resistance fighters that is born and brought up under the shadow of guns and is increasingly resorting to armed struggle. Kashmir, therefore, is a powder keg waiting to explode, and the world can ill afford to ignore it any longer. The recent Pulwama attack, in which more than 40 Indian occupation forces lost their lives, and its aftermath should serve as a grim reminder of the perils of allowing the status quo to continue in Kashmir. Angry protests that broke out across India in response to the killings have already taken the shape of violent anti-Muslim riots in Hindu-majority region of Jammu, while in the rest of India they are turning into a war hysteria with some politicians and a section of media hell-bent on fueling crisis and vitiating the atmosphere even further. I would like to end by reading out the statement issued by the Joint Resistance Leadership of Kashmir on the killings of Indian soldiers, which I believe echoes the collective feeling and the sentiment of all Kashmiris as a nation. The statement reads, "People and leadership of Kashmir regret every killing that happens on its soil. As we witness killing of our loved ones, our young, and shoulder their coffins each day, we can feel and understand the pain and sense of loss that the family and friends of those who are killed go through. Not for a day or two, when everyone is expressing grief and condolence to them, but the silent grief and loss that stays with them for a lifetime. The delay in the resolution of the Kashmir dispute, the denial to engage with the sentiment and aspirations of the people of Jammu and Kashmir, and instead the use of muscular military approach to counter an essentially political and human problem is wreaking havoc Kashmir, especially on our next generation, and consuming them, while those who are here to execute this policy are also under stress and paying a price with their lives. Militarization, army operations, use of bullets and pellets, blowing up homes, blinding and maiming, draconian laws and torture as a means to crush legitimate political aspirations of the people has not only failed, but worsened the situation. if this death dance has to stop, if hatred and revenge has to cease, if killing and counter-killings has to stop, if we really want peace in the region, we have to put an end to hostilities, and the most effective and civilized manner to do so is to reach out and engage and listen to the concerns of all stakeholders and address them in the spirit of humanity and justice. Resolve the Kashmir issue for all times. I thank you all, ladies and gentlemen.